Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Ancient Coin Hour. Can you believe, Josh, it has been 5 episodes to this point?
I know. It's pretty crazy. Just imagine what's going to happen when we get to like 30 or 40 or even 50.
I may be in pushing Social Security at that point, but we'll keep trying to crank them out for sure. So we have lots of news on the Josh front. Much has transpired since the last time we met and talked. And I have, I know that we're trying to keep it ancient coin style, but there's so much that went on that I feel like you got to take a minute or two to kind of talk about what happened a couple weeks back, and so everybody can cheer you on and root for you.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I got married, actually. My wife and I are happily married now for 2 weeks and looking forward to the future. And it was a great kind of elopement that we did and happened up in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places.
Anything?
It was a lot of fun.
Anything special about Madison, Wisconsin?
Madison has a great music scene, and my wife, she was singing up there at the Madison Symphony doing the Verdi Requiem a couple weeks ago, and we decided to do our nuptials while we were there for the weekend.
And she's a professional singer too?
She is.
Does she sing opera or does she sing normal?
She does. She sings normal. Yeah, she sings very normal. But no, she does sing opera. She's pretty well known international opera soprano. So
really, and does she perform at the Lyric or any of the other places that
she
we
has?
know?
Yeah, she's performed at the Lyric and the Met, and she's performed in Austria and all over, all the way out to Tokyo, all around the world.
The one thing I did, I did see on an old Facebook post. Did I see that you got a Grammy by association? Is that true?
I did. In 2012, I won a Grammy Award with singing with the Metropolitan Opera in their recording of the Wagner's Ring Cycle. So the last one that they did.
So does that mean that we have to reshoot the intro and be like, "Hi, I'm Dean Kinzer, and performing with me today is Grammy-winning superstar,
Grammy Award-winning
Josh Benevento."
Nah, it was a cool award. Funny thing about that. The funny thing is, I actually had to pay to receive the reward.
What?
the physical reward. In order to actually get a copy of it, I had to pay for it.
You had to pay for a Grammy Award?
I did. I had to pay the Grammy Association for the certificate and everything.
Holy cow. Do you get the actual statue, the actual...
I did not get a statue, but I do have a nice certificate and everything. It's all framed, and I just don't have it up yet. It's still in boxes from my recent move. So
I will do my best to give you that intro whenever I can, so you can feel like a superstar. So got married, had a bit of a honeymoon, a lot of time in Wisconsin, back, and kind of ready to hit the ground going again. And I know it's been
absolutely
been a little while since we've done one of these, but there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in ancient coins that we have to talk about.
There is,
and one of the things that we do routinely, our normal shtick, will be what comes across our desks, because both me and Josh dabble in collecting and dealing, and so we get a lot of stuff that comes across our desk, and we're always dying to share that with you, because maybe we're collecting something you didn't know about or something you have interest in, and we're always willing and ready to share with you what we're getting, so maybe you can, it'll inspire you to collect something new. But with that being said, Mr. Grammy Award-winning Josh Benevento is going to present to us his coin that passed through his desk. So without further ado.
So this week, Dean, I had a cool coin that came across my desk. It's a Dupondius denomination, which is a little bit smaller than Sestertius. And it's from Emperor Trajan. And it's a really cool coin that depicts on the obverse a portrait of Trajan with a radiant crown, and
can I ask
on the back.
Without interrupting?
Yeah,
Sorry
sure.
about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
How do you generally know when a coin is a Dupondius and not like an ass or
weight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be the weight.
And then generally they have radiant helmets or crowns on.
Yeah,
That's
they do. They do. Generally, there's a radiate crown versus on a Cistercius, there's typically just the
laurel.
laurel.
Yeah.
Laurel crown.
But that's one way to know. It's not 100%,
right away.
but it's ish. That. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, not at all. So on the obverse you have that, and on the reverse there's a trophy actually. And but before I go into the details about the coin, because you'll notice, especially on the obverse, that it has this legend that's very, very long. But a little bit background on Trajan before that. Trajan, he was born in Spain in 52 AD. And he became a powerful leader due to his military skills, actually, and family background. He trained in warfare from an early childhood by his father, and he later became a renowned general. At the time, after that, after becoming a major general or a huge general within the Roman Empire, he was actually adopted by the Emperor Nerva. And so Trajan then became emperor himself, and he focused on the well-being of the Roman people and gave them many generous gifts. He was known for his military victories, especially against the Dacians and the Parthians. Trajan also built lots of impressive public projects. However, his constant focus on war and absence from Rome caused some pretty major problems as well. Despite all his achievements, Trajan's legacy is complicated and really criticized by a lot of people, a lot of historians, and they mostly criticize his expansionist policies. He died in AD 117, and he left a mixed reputation. Despite his flaws, he's remembered, though, as a positive force on Rome, and his memory lived on through continuing admiration among coins, especially post after he died as well. Excuse me. So anyway, going back to this Dupondius, we'll see on the obverse that there's this huge legend. Reading it off, we have Imperator Caesar Nervae Traiano Augustus Germanicus Dacicus Pontificus Maximus Tribunicia Potestas Pater Patria. So all that, what does that mean? You'll see all these legends on Roman coins, and you learn a lot of the history from Roman coins. Greek coins, to me at least, especially classical Greek, Hellenistic Greek, even archaic Greek, to me is more about the artwork involved. And the artwork on Roman coins is magnificent too. I mean, there's some great dyes, great die cutters, but you'll find a lot of history within the legends in Roman coins. So just to break down the legend about on the obverse of this coin, first word we see is IMP or Imperator, which means commander. Then we have Caesar, which is the title Caesar, and it's been the imperial title ever since Julius Caesar. Then we have Nervae, which is Emperor Nerva completed his noble and virtuous administration of public affairs by adopting Trajan, like I said, in 97 AD. And then Trajan was named Caesar, and by that succession. So we have Nervae, which is the succession of Caesar. Traiano, which is Trajan's name. Then we have Augustus, which is an honorific title given by the Senate. The first time the title Augustus was given was to Octavian in 27 BC. After that, we have Germanicus, which is the title Germanicus, which is the Germans, or conquest over the Germanic tribes. But the title of Germanicus was not actually assigned to Trajan on account of any victory he gained in Germany, but it devolved to him as the adopted son of Nerva. The law of adoption caused the son to succeed all the titles of his father. So because of Nerva's conquests and successes in over the Germanic tribes, Trajan then adopted that title to himself. The next word we have in the title is Dac, D-A-C, which is this title was given to Trajan for his huge victories over the Dacians. And it began to, that title, DAC, began to be used on coins and other public monuments for Trajan starting in the year AD 104. The next word we have is Pontifex Maximus, which means the greatest of the pontifices, or the head priest of Rome. And this is a title that is, of course, used by the Pope still today. The next word we have is Tribunica Potestas, which is the tribution power, or the power to veto legislation. And that was essential to any ruler, of course. And typically where you see TRP, it's typically followed by a Roman numeral. In this case, the Roman numeral 5, which indicates how many times he was named as tribune. Up until, I can't remember the date, but it was not too long before this. They used to do that ceremony every single year. I forgot which emperor it was that they stopped doing it every year and just continued it every several years or a few years or anything like that. But anyway, this coin is indicating that it was the 5th time that he was named tribune and held that tribunal power. And then the last thing we have is PP, which of course is Pater Patria, which means father of his country. And Augustus himself first adopted this title, Pater Patria, in 2 BC. So looking at the reverse of this coin, we have a legend that goes around and a trophy full of all these different objects in the middle. Starting with the legend going around, we have SPQR, which of course means Senatus Populusque Romanus, which is the Roman Senate and the people. It's the traditional formulated expression showing the joint authority of the conscript fathers and the common citizens. It has little meaning on imperial coins. In imperial times, it had little meaning, but it continued to appear on coins all the way down to Emperor Constantine. Then we have the phrase Optimo Principi, which means dedicated to the best of princes, or referring to the greatest ruler, Trajan. After that, we have SC going across the middle, which of course is Senatus Consulto, which means, which is the decree of the Royal Senate of giving authority to this coin, that it was made under senatorial approval. Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, you'll see that a lot on coins, even provincials, correct? They're
absolutely.
The Senate oftentimes approved coinage or money that was outside, not just in Rome, but you'll see that, of course, on a lot of particularly the bronze coins. But you'll also you'll see that in provincials as well, where even in some of the imperatorial times, some of the denarius coins, when there was kind of it was questionable about who was in charge. They would put SC on there, so you knew that the money was good and backed by the government.
Was good, yeah, absolutely. So then in the middle of on the reverse of this coin, we have this trophy. And this trophy has arms and armor, including curved swords, which refers to the Dacians, because their swords were curved. And it has shields of various shapes. These trophies were formed from the spoils taken from enemies and were set up as public monuments. So this coin obviously showing that Trajan is the greatest of all rulers. He's the Optimo Principi. He's the greatest of all rulers who ruled over the Dacians, and eventually it's not indicated on this coin, but eventually the Parthians. And we're going to show the whole Roman Empire, that the The Emperor is great, and this is his trophies of war for all of you to see. So, and that's my coin that came across my desk this week.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions for you, and I'm
Yeah, well,
sorry
hopefully I might have an
they're
answer.
totally unprepared and unworked. But one, where does Trajan sit for you in the pantheon of great emperors?
He's considered one of the great ones, and but I mean, he was to me he was just one that was so focused on conquering and being a general more than being an emperor,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Gotcha. And so he's also very notorious for his legends being the longest of all of the Roman emperors. So
All the titles belong to him.
so I always think of Trajan kind of I don't know, like I feel like he's a top fiver probably, just because he expanded the empire so far.
Sure.
And he actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had actually a pretty good record against the Parthians, and some of the Eastern Asian countries where Romans traditionally had some bad luck with that. So I mean, he's a pretty successful guy. And then obviously Hadrian after that was like, hey, let's walk this back a little bit. I'm going to put up a wall and shorten the distance of all of the places that Trajan stretched out.
Right.
Well, I appreciate that, and I have a fondness for Trajan coins. I do have one, well, I think it's a Dupondius too, but it has his what's it called? The tower on the reverse.
His
which still exists,
I've seen that coin,
right? And it's a neat piece of architecture that's on a coin from 2,000 years ago that you can actually go physically see the thing. And
there's great denarius as well with Trajan's column.
Yeah, Trajan's column. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I, Trajan's actually, for those of you who are collecting, he's probably for you guys who are getting started out. One of the easier guys to collect. Lots and lots and lots of denarius coins out there, and they're all pretty affordable. If you're paying more than $400 for a Trajan, you're probably paying too much.
That's probably on the high side, honestly.
Just generally. But there's so many, and his reverses are really cool. Very successful guy. So there's a lot of like champion Dacia and a lot of the places that he helped kind of turn the tide on. But certainly, as you're starting out in your collection, the Five Good Emperors is a good place, particularly in the denarius area, to start collecting because it's affordable and readily available. And that's probably one of the better pieces of advice you can get, because there's tons of coins, but he's one that there's a lot of, because he had to pay his troops, so there's a ton of silver he was just flinging around.
Tons.
Tons. So,
and in every condition imaginable.
Yeah, for sure. But you can get like a nice toned, crisp one, but it's $200, 50. And that's always going to be worth that. It may take a little dip, but it's always going to be worth a beautiful Trajan is always going to be worth at least something. So with that being said, I will turn myself over to me, the non-Grammy winning awarded artist on this show. So I did actually have a number of coins that came across my desk, and some that I'm just really, really anxious to share with you guys. I have this incredible Bactrian coin, which Classical Numismatics put together a video on. It's really kind of a once in a lifetime because it's like new. It's like a brand new coin. And it's so strange to have something 2,000 years old that's like brand new. And then I got another one of those Osgravs, this time a Quadrans, which is like a subset of the Osgrav. I got the one with the hand, which to me, of all of them, is right up there with the Janiform one, as a kind of iconic representation of the Roman Republic. And I feel like if you do look back and you do see some of the pictures of Roman legionaries carrying their standards, oftentimes they'll have a standard, and at the very top is this hand, which means honor and respect. and it's represented on the coin. But anyway, we won't talk about that one. We'll do that another time. But I always
That was a bonus.
Yeah, a little thrown in. But the coin I want to talk to you about today is a neat one. And why is it neat, Dean? Well, so all of our lives, we've probably heard about Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, right? So it's a story as old as time and has been taught to everyone. And the Troy, Brad Pitt movie. There's huge amounts. There's a series that recently just came out on Troy. So there's just a huge amount of kind of interest in the book, but also that time frame, and anything from that region that you can tie back to it. So in our traditional thought about Homer and Troy, that particular period of time is kind of what we would call the late Bronze Age. So that period of time is, maybe 1200, 1100 BC, long before the Hellenistic and kind of the Greek powerful, and the Persian powerfuls, the centers of power. Back then it was more city-states, in even more fractured Greece, I would say. And so unfortunately, there is no coinage from 1300 BC. Had not been invented, and not 1200 or 1100. It would go all the way to 650 BC before coins started being used. It was kind of invented in that neighborhood of Ilia or Troy. That's where coinage kind of started. But as time went on, eventually the city of Ilion, and correct me if I'm, pronouncing this wrong, Josh. You're my last bastion of hope.
Ilion sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So we have what's it called? So when you read about Troy and its history, Troy is kind of underground, and anything historical has underground layers, because what we do is essentially, a generation or a period of time will pass, and then we'll build on top of it, and then we'll build on top of it. So when people started excavating and they believed that they knew an area where Troy was, or Ilia, they started to dig in the late 1800s and then continued on into the 1900s. And what was discovered is, I think there's about 9 layers of Troy underneath the top layer, which is where they started at. And within those layers, it actually goes back to about 3000 BC and continues forward. So the Troy of Brad Pitt, the Troy of all of that time period, the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Homer, that would have been, like I said, about 1300 BC, and that's Troy 6 or Troy 7. So that's the 7th layer down as we're going, right? As we're coming up from the bottom, 3000 BC, and then coming up. So the 7th layer-ish is where the Troy of history is, that everybody knows about. This particular coin comes from what we would call Troy 9, which would be the most current version of Troy. It would be the pre-Roman or Roman-occupied Ilion. So for those of you who are interested in this type of coin, or interested in that, the closest to a coin that you can get will be, a tetradrachm from about 150 BC, but they are incredibly rare, just impossible almost. But there have been hoards recently that have been uncovered, and they are kind of, every once in a while you look at an auction or you go on eBay and there'll be a couple of them just floating around. And it's really unfortunate that there aren't more of them, but it's kind of also fortunate because I'd like to have the nicest one if I could. But there's just not a lot of them out there and about. But anyway, this is.
Hey, Dean, real quick, to interrupt you quick.
Please.
But so you say this was like super rare, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about like what happens with hoards being found and with rarity and coins. Because
Uh,
I feel like, there's a lot of coins out there where you find an old auction record and it says like very rare. And then and then once you do a little digging, you're like, well, this is not really all that rare because they've sold like 50 of them in the last 5 years.
that's an excellent point, and we will. So in this particular instance with mine, there are a number of this type, but the
Mhm.
version that I have, there's only two examples of this issue noted by Ellis and Evans, which are the museum collection coins, and both of those
Mhm.
are in Coin Archive. So that's to let you know how many exist on the
Ah.
planet. Now, there's different variations of kind of the same coin, but with different magistrates. Um, but they're all from about the same time period. They're like I said, they can be hard to come by, but you can turn one up for here and there. Generally, they're going to be in rough condition, just because of the type of hoard that it was. It was largely, I would say, mid grade or lower coins. There are a few that I know of that are really nice. But anyway, the history, it's Troy, right? You got a big picture, a beautiful picture of Athena on the cover with a big helmet, very regal, very reminds you very much of Troy. And then obviously on the reverse, there's all of the ins and outs and Athena on the reverse. Um, but for me, to have a coin from Troy, Ilion, is one of the coolest things you can have. It's as close to the actual time period as you can get. That particular city is a smaller city, so obviously the distribution of tetradrachms in the second century BC was probably not a high level of distribution, so there's not a ton left. But if you can get one, I recommend you get one because there's not too many people that one can say they can get a huge. I mean, this one, the one that I have is 35 millimeters, a huge silver coin from Troy. Not too many people can say that, but then it gets compounded even more so, with kind of how rare these are within kind of the subset of Greek city coins. So anyway, I love this coin. I'm very proud of it. I my my search is to find a like new one, and then I'll keep that one forever. But in this instance, this is one that I wanted to put my paws on for a period of time and then share with you guys. So hopefully you guys
Now
enjoyed
this
that.
is
Go ahead.
I was going to say this is the same a coin from the same place or where they have the temple of Athena, right? Where King Xerxes and Alexander the Great visited
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You're
that's
absolutely right.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a neat,
That's really awesome.
neat piece of history. It doesn't directly tie, but it's from the same neighborhood. And not too, like I said, not too many people can say they have a coin from Troy. So I think that's pretty neat.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah. So those are across our desks. Now, I want to let you guys know that Josh has been working on a project for us. One of the hardest things that I know of within this kind of hobby is understanding denominations. And we know that really it was Croesus who kind of came up with denominations, and he came up with such a huge swath of them that there's like 40 different types of coin.
So many.
Yes, and but as time goes on and the city states start to kind of form into one and denominations kind of break into this kind of regular cycle, it's still hard for, even as that has become more regularized and as the world becomes more Hellenized, but it's still difficult to kind of together in your head what a denomination uh, how it works and how it relates even to money today. So Josh has put together a little bit of a presentation that he's going to share with you guys because we think it's important, and I think it's really cool understanding the different denominations in ancient coins. So without further ado, Mr. Josh, I'm turning it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Dean. Okay, so today we're going to make some sense of the complex world of Greek and Roman coinage standards, where weight and purity were of great importance, but often fluctuated, leading to economic and historical implications. Before we dive into Greek coinage weight standards, let's take a moment to define some of the denominations you may encounter while collecting some coins. First, we have the stater, diagram, or the nomos, all the same term. They're all synonymous terms. It's a term you've likely already heard. It was the primary denomination often used as the base for establishing weight standards. It was the backbone of many economies, ranging from the Achaean stater at around 8 grams to the Eigenaten stater, which actually weighed 12.2 grams. And here we have an example of a stater. And so here we have the next one is a drachma. Another commonly known term, served as the standard currency unit. It derives from the word drato, meaning to grasp. A drachma typically weighed around 4.3 grams. However, variations did exist across different standards, such as the Rhodian drachma, which weighed an average of 3.4 grams. Moving on to the tetradrachm. This denomination was 4 times the value of a drachma. In the Attic standard, it weighed a hefty 17.2 grams, while in other standards like the Samaean at 13.1 grams. The Samaean standard was used by Samos in the 5th century until replaced by the Attic standard in 412 BC. Now let's explore the obol, that little guy over here at the bottom of the screen there. It derives from the word obello, meaning to split. An obol was a very small silver coin, typically weighing around 0.4 grams. Despite its extremely small size, it played a larger role in everyday transactions. And so here we have a chart of Greek coins. This actually comes from Harlan Burke's The 100 Greatest Coins. And it's just showing some of the Greek denominations in gold at the top here. You have octadrams, pentadrams, litries, distators, and stators. We have some silver denominations, some of these really, really big ones here, like a dodecadram, or a decadram, a tetradrachm, stator, nomos. These are just the different denomination sizes that you can see. And the obols are really quite small, but they have some incredible artwork on them. There was a sale, a Nomos auction sale last year that auctioned off some exquisite pieces of art. I got to see a couple of them at the New York show back in January. So anyway, that's these. We have some silver denominations here. Here's a chart I found online here on the left, just showing some of the different sizes of the silver denominations that you find with some of these coins here. It gets pictured. These are the weights of those, but you'll see like a stater in different places, like Pamphylia and Tarsus, Corinth. Where's this, Lucania? In here, they're of different sizes, but they're all still staters, but they're different weight standards as well. We have just right here on the right here. This is a cool little chart that I found. I keep hitting that button. I'm so sorry. Here we go. This chart right here just shows the relationship to some of the names that you'll encounter based off drams. So like you have a dram, then like a hemidram would be half of that. So there'd be 2 hemidrams to 1 dram. An obol, there's 6 obols to a dram. Hemiobol, there'd be 12 hemiobols to 1 dram. And then going from there, a diadram, stater, nomos, those are typically 2 drams worth of weight. Tetradrachm would be 4 drams in weight, octadrachm, decadrachm, dodecadrachm at 12, etc. So here in the bronze denominations, we have Sicily really has kind of like the leader when it comes to the bronze. denominational names here. We have things based off the litra, and then it comes down from there, going all the way down to the Ankyia. Outside of Sicily, typically bronze coins in ancient Greece are referred to as units. And a lot of the times you'll see AE, meaning bronze, followed by a number, say the number 18. So you'll have 18, meaning that it's the size of 18 millimeters, or an AE 26 or AE 24. It's referring to its size. So in Greek city-states, coins weren't just currency. They were a reflection of power, trade, and societal norms. Each region had its own weight standard, with the base denomination forming the cornerstone of its economy. For instance, the Achaean standard was prevalent in Magna Graecia until the Roman conquest, while the Aeginetan standard, like I mentioned earlier, originating from Aegina, dominated trade into the late Archaic period. The Attic standard, introduced by Athens, was a game changer. With a drachma of approximately 4.3 grams and a tetradrachm of 17.2 grams, it became the go-to standard for vast quantities of coinages, used not only by Athens but also by Macedon under Philip II. But standards weren't static; they evolved. The Chian standard, for example, saw an adoption by Rhodes and widespread use in Caria and Ionia before eventually giving way to the Attic standard. The Attic standard really became the norm. Economic isolation was a real threat. Regions relying solely on their own coinage standards risked devaluation and limited trade. Alexander the Great understood this when he mandated the use of the Attic standard across his empire, ensuring uniformity and facilitating trade. However, maintaining standards wasn't without challenges. Wear and tear, technological limitations, and even deliberate debasement led to variations in weight and purity. Inflation became a looming specter, haunting economies and destroying public trust in currency. Does any of this sound familiar? So let's move on to the world of Roman coinage and see how it shaped trade within the Roman Empire. So imagine yourself in ancient Rome, a world without the convenience of modern transportation. Despite the absence of highways and intercontinental flights, ancient travelers traveled great distances spanning from Britain to Egypt. Military generals, government officials, and ordinary citizens alike traversed, while behind a trail of records etched in archives and inscriptions that they left behind. These records paint a picture of a bureaucratic society that thrived on the reliability of standardized denominations. A Roman citizen could rest assured that their denarius held value anywhere in the Roman world, fostering trust and facilitating trade on a massive scale. So the earliest coins of Rome, were not the finely crafted pieces that we're familiar with today. Instead, they were cast bronze or irregular metal lumps known as asgrud. These primitive forms of currency circulated from well before 500 BC until the late 4th century, exchanged simply by weight. It wasn't until around 289 BC that the first circular cast coins with images known as as grave were introduced. The as grave were based as declining from 1 Roman pound at 324 grams. Following that, there was a semis. Here's an example of a semis here, which is half of a grave, or an as. Then you had the triens, followed by the quadrant, the sextans, the uncia, and the semi-uncia. The complex series of cast bronze denominations continued until the end of the 3rd century, when struck bronzes were issued on a new sextanal standard. These struck bronzes marked a significant evolution in Roman coinage. So you'll see just some of the different Roman coinages here, the different sizes. And here's a wonderful example of a few really, really cool types. These are great to hold. They're quite heavy. They're massive. They're big and round. Anyway, so in the world of silver, drachmas and didrams were struck as early as 280 BC. Later variations, such as the quadrigatus and the victoriatus, featured intricate designs on their reverses. However, the Second Punic War inflicted such strain on the Roman economy that the monetary system collapsed in 211 BC. In response to this crisis, the denarius was introduced, becoming the main silver coin of the later Republic and the early imperial period. For some 500 years, the denarius served as the backbone of the Roman monetary system. However, by the middle of the 3rd century, the denarius had been debased to the point of being a bronze coin. And during the reign of Caracalla in AD 212, the introduction of the double denarius, or the Antoninianus, marked another significant development. Originally a coin of high silver content, rampant inflation led to its debasement, with later issues containing little or no silver at all. These debased Antoniniani reflected the economic challenges facing the Roman Empire in the late 3rd century. Diocletian's monetary reforms in AD 286 brought about new denominations like the Argentus and the Follis, which reshaped the Roman coinage system. And on this chart here, you'll see just the relationship of the different denominations of before AD 296 and after AD 296. RVI means relative value. It's the relative value of the coin. So denarius silver is 1, so a sestertius, for example, would be a worth of the quarter of a denarius. And then later on, you have these. I keep doing that. Later on, you have these other silver denominations and gold denominations that were after 296, where you have the very well-known Antoniniani and Follises that came after that. So the evolution of coinages. Actually, before I go on, just wanted to show this other slide here. So this will just show some of the denominations in gold. You have the solidus and the auris. These are approximate weights of them. You see how it says AE3, AE4. That's typically the smaller denominations, what they would be called. Denarius, tremesis is the smaller version, smaller fractional gold piece. Sestertius, which are those big, large bronze coins. Dupondius is like what we talked about earlier, with how the Dupondius typically you have the radiate crown, and so forth for these. Going on, the evolution of coinage in the Byzantine Empire from the early period to the later centuries have various changes in materials, denominations, and designs. Initially, gold denominations like the solidus and the auris were stable, with the solidus introduced by Constantine the Great and the auris still struck during the reign of Anastasius and Justinian, albeit with few surviving examples. These coins of high purity, 24 karat gold, and weighed about 4.5 grams. Coins were frequently clipped, and this is evident in examples usually coming in around 4.2 to 4.3 grams. A lot of the times when you buy or see these coins at auction, you'll see some on the sides are very noticeable clipping, and it's very apparent by the weight too. Many times they come like 4.3, 4.34, 4.32, something like that. Fractional gold denominations included the semisis and the tremesis. And then there was also a half tremesis, which is really a rare denomination due to its really small size and fragile nature. Gold coins later transitioned into forms like the Histamanian nomisma and the trachy, with the later becoming heavily debased over time, eventually being issued in silver or billion compositions known as aspron trachy. The solidus persisted, but it was reduced in weight and redesignated as a tartaron. Excuse me for all these names, they're quite difficult to pronounce sometimes. In the 11th century, Alexius I introduced the hyperon, a highly refined gold coin which also underwent debasement over time, resulting in the term aspron trachy due to its pale yellow appearance, aspron meaning white. Silver coinage, although relatively scarce, included denominations such as the siliqua, the hexagram, the miliarcion, and the basilicon. The miliarcion became more common in the 8th century, but by the 11th century it was replaced by an electrum trachy. The stavraton, introduced during the reign of John V, was a relatively large silver coin that circulated alongside fractional denominations. Bronze coinage saw a resurgence under Anastasius II, under Anastasius, with the introduction of the follis, a denomination that was also known as 40 numi, and it was marked accordingly on the coin. You can see right here, you'll see this a lot of the times in the bronze coins. 40 numi, it's got the big M on the back. There were smaller denominations that were based on size and weight, such as the half follis and the pentanumia, going all the way down to 5 numi, down to the numus, 2 numi, 3, 4, and these were just some of the bronze denomination. These coins are very easy to be had. In really nice conditions, they can go for pretty good money. But many of them and most of them are pretty rough, but they're fun. They're fun to identify. They're fun to explore and to collect. During the 7th century, bronze coin production declined, leading to the restriking of folises over earlier types. This resulted in crude-looking coins from the time of Heraclius through Justinian II. Despite their appearance, these coins often yield new discoveries and historical insights, with frequent new findings in the series. However, they have not received as much attention as Greek and Roman coins, and mastering this field requires practice and a sharp eye. Ongoing discoveries and potential historical significance of these coins make Byzantine numismatics, and especially in recent years Arab Byzantine coin studies, a rewarding but challenging field of study. And so that's my presentation for this week on Roman and Greek denominations and weight standards. You can go so deep into this. We can fill episodes upon episodes just talking about weight standards. There's lots of scholarly articles and books written about this subject area. It's a great area to explore, and I hope this kind of sparks some interest.
Really appreciate that presentation. It's such a complex subject because when we talk about the Roman Empire, it's three different essentially eras. The Republic, the early Empire, later Empire, Byzantine. And so you're covering 1,500 years in a short period of time to try and break down. But I really appreciate us help us understand some of that stuff. It can get complicated, but if you stay in kind of a discipline and you say I'm Greek only and stuff like that, it might be easier. But it's also with ancient coins. There's so many challenges. It's a lot of fun, to be honest with you, coming up with all this stuff. Well, as everybody knows, summer's coming up, and usually what that means is a lot of outdoor activities and fun stuff. But for numismatists like ourselves, it also means coin show season. And there are a number of coin shows coming up in the summer that we'd like to make mention of, and also kind of give you a short kind of guide to how to be successful when you go to a coin show. We do have a couple of coin shows coming up that we would we'd like to bring to your attention. Central States is next week. Mr. Grammy Award-winning Benevento will be there at some point during the week. So if you see him, make sure you say hi. He's going to be doing some shopping for me, trying to find some awesome stuff. Just kidding. And then there's fun that's coming up in July. Also, the what's it called? The Long Beach show is in June. Yeah, in
Long
June, a
Beach.
couple weeks after the Central States, and then you start to get into the fall and winter ones. There's a winter fun, but then also New York International that we go to every year to represent. But
And let's not also forget
yeah,
the
okay.
A&A
So we were
coming up
saving
in
that one
August.
for last. And why is that? Because we have a table.
Because we will be there.
Yeah, and very excited to do that because that'll be my first kind of experience in ancient coin dealing. For you guys who don't know much about my upbringing, my father was a coin collector, not a coin, or not more of a baseball card collector, less of a coin dealer. So when we went to baseball card shows, he'd set up and we'd have a table and we'd sell throughout the period of day. But when we went to coin shows, it was just to go shop. It wasn't to sell anything. I mean, he'd bring stuff to trade maybe, but he wasn't big on that. But I've been going to coin shows probably for the last 40 years, let's say. And, there's some tips and tricks certainly that I, try to look to. One of the things that I, and Josh, follow up here. The one thing that I always do when I go to a show is I keep my hands in my pockets until I've made my way around the circle at least once. Is that similar to what you do?
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously the first thing is go with a budget in mind and don't exceed it. That's my first thing. You have a budget of this is what I'm willing to spend at this show, and don't go above it because it's really easy to do. The other thing is, like Dean said, spend time walking around, browsing, because you can go to that first table, that second table, and go, ooh, look at that coin. That's really nice. I like that. Let me buy that. And now you've spent, I don't know, maybe your whole budget in 5 minutes. And then you're just going to spend the rest of the time just walking around going, ooh, I wish I had more money for this. I wish I had more money for that. So definitely take a walk around at least once.
For those of you guys who haven't gone to a lot of ancient coin related, shows. A lot of time on these shows, they have a early bird, meaning that you can come in the Thursday before the show starts and pay. A lot of times it's actually a significant amount. It could be, I think New York was like over $100 to come in the day before.
Yeah, New York's about 125 to come in a day early.
That like a first look. Yeah.
Dealer day or first look day.
And so if you plan accordingly, and if you feel like, whatever is on a table will not survive until Friday morning or Friday afternoon when you get there, then, or if you don't like the traffic of the shows, Thursdays, I think, because of the steep price tag, can be, the less headcount, less to compete with.
That's something that I personally really love to do. I mean, I always try to go to the dealer preview days or anything like that early. It gives a real nice opportunity to spend your time without the crowds. And a lot of the times dealers will have much more time to talk and chat with you too, because they're not surrounded by people always keeping their eyes open to see what's going on their table and everything like that.
But it, it does eliminate a little bit of the hustle and bustle, but, it to each his own. I like going multiple days if I can, if it's worth the trip. A lot of what we do, and Josh probably the same, except two of the big shows are in his neck of the woods this year. But there's more often than not, there's little shows where it's primarily American. I'm in the Southwest Missouri area, and so most of the collecting is American. but they're, you'd be surprised. I've gone to shows in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, and there have been ancient coins. So just because there's not a headline that says ancient coins or something like that, a lot of these guys carry them with them, just for somebody like you to come in and to peruse. So I've found some pretty neat, rare, and unique coins that, heck, sometimes the dealer doesn't even know what he has because it's not his areas.
At the local, interest. I was going to say at the local show, what I do is kind of keep an eye out for the world coin dealers. If you're looking for ancient coins, because a lot of the times they'll just be mixed in with world coins. And you can get some pretty good deals. Also, you can find some pretty outrageous prices too. I've seen coins where, it's filled with horn silver and it looks like if it dropped on the floor, it'd shatter in a million pieces. Asking several $100s for a coin like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy.
Well, because they don't know, right? And so that's
they don't know. That's just it.
You probably don't want to buy that from that person, but
that's right.
The what's it called? But the shows certainly can be a lot of fun. I tend to my kind of strategy is I'll bring stuff that maybe might turn for new inventory. It's just to mix up things. I am somebody who is impulsive as it gets, right? If I see something, I probably got to have it. So the rule about walking around once and stuff like that, that's just really more for me than anyone, to be honest with you, because I can tell you the number of times that I've spent my whole budget the first walk around and then regretted it instantly. So, take your time. The other thing that's big, guys, and for you guys who are listening, I know you can't necessarily be meek when buying. A lot of these dealers, have some wiggle room, and I would encourage you. And I know it's maybe not, not in everybody's wheelhouse. Not everybody loves negotiating, but if you get the chance and you have a pretty good idea what the coin's worth, always try to take a little bit off. And that's a dealer is a great, or a coin show is a great place to do that because you do have competition. It's not like everybody has, or it's only one guy, one dealer all by himself, and you went to his brick and mortar shop. You have competition. And so there's opportunities for you to, if you don't like what one guy has, maybe another guy has something similar or something. But don't always take the list price unless you're shopping at mine and Josh's table. Other than that, always try to haggle down a little bit because there's always room, and it makes for a little bit more fun, and it helps you feel like you've got a good deal. So that's my recommendation. Always.
I mean, everybody likes to haggle.
You got to. But I find, as somebody who has a Vcoin store and my own store, I always want to haggle. And I don't get it as much as people I would imagine. I would have thought everybody wanted to haggle, but that's my recommendation. Always haggle.
Absolutely. And the other thing is go and touch coins. That's one of the best things about going to these shows, especially the big national shows, is you usually have the ancient coin in the world coin section. So you go to that section and you'll have, 15, 20 ancient coin dealers that in this section here, like at the A&A show or the fun show. Go there, touch coins, feel the coins, look at the coins closely. It's what other place can you go to where you get that experience? Because I tell you, you don't learn coins better by just handling them. That's really where you can you get to know the feel of a coin, the look of a coin. And at that point, you can actually even look at a picture and go, oh, I remember, I know that coin. I know what that coin feels like. Right. And I know what it should feel like. I have picked up coins where I'm like, wow, this coin does not feel right.
That's right.
And it's not. Right. I actually ran into do I have it here on my desk? I ran into a situation like that actually earlier. Going through a lot of American coins, I ended up finding a counterfeit half dollar.
That's
Didn't feel right.
interesting.
Didn't feel right. Looked closely, and the legends had the wrong. It was the wrong font. Yeah, yeah, it was a fake coin. So it happens. You find them.
But yeah, the great thing about ancients
Oh yeah,
is less than half are slab. So one, you can look at them up close, and two, don't be shy. If you want to, ancient coins can be held. You don't need white gloves, and,
absolutely.
or anything like that. They can be held. They've been in the ground for 2,000 years, so whatever you're going to do to them is not going to hurt them. So you can hold them, you can feel them, you can take a look at the relief. With American coins, it's pretty much in a case, and you can't do much with it. So there's a lot of opportunity in ancient coin show as opposed to American coin to really get in touch with the material that you're getting to know, and it's just it's very gratifying, and I always. Heck, half the time that I send videos after I go to New York International, it's not my stuff, but it's so cool that somebody let me hold this giant bronze medallion of Caracalla or whatever it is, because it's
Hmm.
just that's how it is. That's this business. It's so neat because with so many other areas of interest, if you round a corner on a baseball card, or if you tarnish a silver American coin, then you ruin it or whatever. But here, you don't ruin anything.
Right. And the other thing is, don't forget to bring one of these. I always have. I bring this to every show I'm at. I always wear it around my neck. It's a
Oh
little.
yeah,
I
smart.
use it all the time. Look
I didn't know if
closely
that
at
was
coins.
a danger whistle.
I always have one. Danger. That wouldn't be. That's actually a pretty good idea. Could save you save you a lot of money that way.
A lot of these guys have loops and stuff, but it's very smart to bring it because it's probably best if you bought a coin and you haven't looked under a microscope, you probably made a mistake. You should probably look at it close up because there's a lot of things that can be messed with. But yeah, definitely carry a loop.
Yeah.
And, what other?
Yeah, you can. It helps. It helps for finding things like cleaning marks that might not be present just at first glance, or you can find some interesting things. So, but yeah, just go around and have a budget in mind. Bring your loot. Go touch coins. Negotiate. Talk to dealers. Talk to other people there. I've made some great friends at shows, and you start seeing the same people at shows, the same dealers, and you start to build a rapport and relationship with people, and that's also part of the hobby.
That's right.
Is the camaraderie
if
of
it wasn't for a show, you and I wouldn't have discussed in January doing a podcast, and we probably wouldn't have done it. So that's
right.
That's how it works. But anyway, so again, kind of to tie a bow on it, Josh will be at the next show, Central States. So if he's not going to have a table just walking around, but don't be afraid to say hi. And then what's it called in August at the World's Fair of Money, we will be Josh and I will be having a table, and so we look forward to you guys. We'll probably set up a podcast from our table, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. But with that being said, you got any words of wisdom or anything you want to impart on our listening audience?
Words of wisdom today. Let's see. Know your denominations. Really smart thing to do is know your weights. This way, if you look at an Attic Standard or an Owl tetradrachm and see that it weighs 12.2 grams, something might be a little
whenever
wrong.
Anybody posts something and they want to know if it's real or fake, the first question is weight.
First thing,
because it's an easy identifier.
What's the weight?
So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Josh, and that's a really valuable lesson. Sometimes valuable ones you have to do twice. But anyway,
that's true.
But I don't really have anything else. I will continue to post the coins as I get them in, and we will continue to do this. I love that we get the opportunity to talk to you guys on a frequent basis and share what we encounter from day to day in the world of ancient coins. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your numismatist friend group, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. With that being said, the Grammy Award winning opera singer is calling it a day.